So, Smile is on next, and I really like Smile. I think it gets really underplayed by people in their own heads when they go like, oh, Smile's just that really boring episode where they walk around that spaceship and there's those emoji robots. But there's some seriously good stuff in there. I think it's a really well done story. And something that Series 10 did so well compared to other series is it was kind of ahead of its time. It was a bit Series 6 in the way that it's kind of serialized. We go from episode 1 and pick up straight in the TARDIS in episode 2 with Smile. Then at the end of this episode, we get the cliffhanger into the next episode. There is a little gap between that and then the next one, but then after that you get the whole blind stuff. It's really cool. This series does feel like it's trying to capture serialization whilst also being a bit Monster of the Week, which I can get on board with. If Doctor Who does this in the future, I think it's a good idea. Like, this episode ends, we'll start at the end, shall we? It ends with an elephant outside. They exit the TARDIS, there's an elephant. They're on the Victorian London Ice Thames markets, and that's our little cliffhanger into the next episode. And I prefer that a lot more than like Flux, for example, or The War Between the Land and the Sea, which is one story. The problem that I have with serialization is that it's one story. For a whole series we have one story, and I dislike that, because if the story's crap, the whole series is a dud. Whereas if you keep Monster of the Week format, but do like, say, two-parters, you get your cliffhangers, you get your multi-part episodes, but you get more than one story per year, which is why people critique me online for saying that I don't want serialized Doctor Who, because that's not what Doctor Who is. And they're like, whoa, did you not see the classic era, dude? And I'm like, well, it's different though, because with the classic era, you'd get your 4 or 5 episode serialization, and then next week you'd get another one of those, and then another one of those, and then another one, and maybe even another one. Whereas if we were to do serialization this time round in this modern era, it would be one story a year, which I dislike a lot. But Smile, let's talk about Smile now instead of just rambling on about that. But I think Series 10 does that very well. The kind of like, come back next week to find out what's going on with this elephant. Even though it's not a massive like triumphant cliffhanger, it's still like a nice through line to the next episode. This episode also feels very mature, because you get Bill saying words like arse, which is words that, to be fair, it was said in Heaven Sent last series, and this is again a really good way of the show growing with its audience. I did a video a couple of weeks ago now explaining how I think Doctor Who should do more of a mature vibe when it comes back, because we've had too much stuff that's for families now. We need to make Doctor Who for the adults who watched it when they were younger to continue watching, if they're fans like me and you who still watch the show, or if they're fans who disappeared after, say, Peter Capaldi left, they can come back and jump on board with it and get a bit of nostalgia from when they were kids as well. And I think that's the perfect way to do it, and by using words like arse or badass, or what else they say other words, just semi-swear words that could probably make it pre-Watershed, stuff like that, I think is good. It's very smart from them. This whole series was just making Doctor Who a bit more mature. This episode, like I say, starts off in the TARDIS, and we get the Doctor and Bill just having a chat, and Bill is great. Probably my favourite companion, maybe Rose, because I'm quite a soppy romance guy, so I like that little ship. But Bill is my favourite companion apart from that, probably because she asks the right questions. TARDIS only makes sense in English. Here she says, why are the seats so far away from the console? Why don't you want to sit down and fly the console? And just questions like that go unanswered to us because we're just used to it by now, but you would ask that, wouldn't you, if this was your first time in the TARDIS? Now you'll notice I'm not really saying much about the episode because the story is kind of boring. It does bore me a little bit, and it's very exposition-y. There's not a lot of like, hey, look at that thing. It's very like, ooh, and this is this, and it does this because of this, and that isn't as interesting as, say, for example, I don't know, the next episode, Thin Ice, which I think does the perfect balance of exposition and storytelling, whereas this just feels like the Doctor sat reading you a book, which kind of fits the whole Magic Haddock thing that they went for at the end, but it's not an entertaining watch. I think it's a good story, it's a good premise, and there are some great moments in there between 12 and Bill who definitely carry this episode. The plot, not so much, but it is worth watching again if you haven't seen it in a while, because of, like I say, the character dynamic between the 12th Doctor and Bill. That carries and that drives this story rather than the plot, because the plot is a bit naff. I immediately draw similarities between this and Wild Blue Yonder. I remember when I watched Wild Blue Yonder for the first time when it aired, I was thinking this is very similar to Smile. Doctor and Bill, Doctor and Donna, they land on a spaceship or planet, and they're the only ones there, and they're walking around, and slowly a threat gets revealed. We don't know what this threat is, and There are very similar things between that. I mean, obviously, Wild Blue Yonder is miles better than this, but yeah, it's a decent story. The whole cryogenically frozen thing I felt like was a try and pull a twist at the end, but I actually prefer that the humans weren't there yet, which is what they were running through the whole time. The reason this villa is empty is because the humans aren't here yet. Instead, they are here, but they're cryogenically frozen for some reason, and it just felt like a poor attempt at like pulling a haha got you, but it was fine how it was, so there was no need to do that. This episode is decent. It's still better than anything we got in the era after this, but it's not a standout, and it's not one that I'll frequently go back and rewatch. However, it is good. The story's a bit meh, but the character dynamic is brilliant. There are some emotional scenes. I'm a big fan of the Magic Haddock thing and the whole story of the Magic Haddock. And I mean, it is just a clever way to pull a reset button, which is a really lazy way to wrap up a story. But I can look past it because the characters are so well done in this episode. Smile. Let me know what you think about Smile in the comments down below. Whilst you're down there, hit the notification bell if you're new when you're subscribing. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video. If you're on mobile, please do press the hype button near the comments to push my video out to more people, gets me famous. And if you want to become a channel member, you get early access to these reviews. You get them a week in advance, and you get a bonus Q&A very soon. Read into all the rules and stuff. And yeah, if you want to do that, do it. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. Thank you for watching. I've been Sam. I'll see you later, and ta-ra.